Good morning, and welcome to the third in this series, Challenges to Faith. One of the hardest challenges we'll meet is those who ask, how can God allow suffering? Particularly because the person asking this may well have been through extremely painful times as their reason for raising the question. Much more could be said, but today I'm just going to share one experience I had of this challenge. One of the people I met in my first year at university was John. He was studying French and German. Chatting over coffee, I found him pleasant, but learnt that he was politically somewhat right of conservative in his views. This was in the early days of Margaret Thatcher's government in the early 1980s. When I explained that I was a Christian, his eyes flashed. He spoke of having lost a serious girlfriend in a car crash a year or so back. Not so much in a mood of sorrow or high emotion, but in an apparently detached and logical anger. How can there be a God of love when this happens? This was not so much a cry of anguish as what he saw as an argument that totally discredited Christian belief. He also claimed that Christian ideas of love and compassion were signs of weakness. Instead, one should aim to become an Übermensch, a superior human. Joked of making Nazi salutes and support for the far-right National Front. I'm not sure how seriously he held these political views, or his assertion that love could never overcome self-seeking power. It appeared to me to be an intellectual view without any emotional content. I wondered if for him it was a form of protection from moving through his grief and sadness emotionally to some sort of resolution. And perhaps that he had instead latched onto these ideas as a less painful answer. I don't know. And it wouldn't be right for me to judge him, but I did feel that he was deliberately blocking any understanding of the love of God. And that he was determined to hold on to this nihilistic view rather than risk serious emotional involvement. Once we were no longer living on site at college, we rather lost touch, so I never knew how his life progressed. I'm not today going to discuss the whole issue of how there can be a God of love when there is suffering in the world, but rather to consider the mindset that dismisses the possibility of God completely without being open to discussion. Many people would describe themselves as agnostic. They haven't sorted out a belief system that makes sense to them. And others may, after have some thought, have come to believe that there can't be a God. But there are some who say there is no God because that is what they want to be true. For some, simply because it frees them of any moral responsibility to behave well. When reading a book on the Jewish background of Christianity, I learnt that in the Old Testament there are at least 5 Hebrew words for a fool. In some places, the word fool describes someone who is simple-minded, or naive, or gullible. Another Hebrew word can mean a person who has an unrealistic idea of his own abilities. But one of the words for fool, nabal, has a much more concerning meaning. And this is the word used in Psalm 14, verse 1. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. This sort of fool is someone who has fixedly and deliberately and arrogantly decided to close his mind to any possibility that God could exist. It's not the same as agnosticism or a belief in atheism after careful thought, but a willful rejection of God as a free choice, perhaps made even against evidence. I hope this wasn't the position John was in. But there are, I am sure, people who deliberately close their minds to God's truth, which is an incredibly serious and dangerous thing to do. And I guess this illustrates one reason why we have to accept that not everyone will believe the gospel, however clearly we present the message and the evidence to support it. For such a person, we can pray for God's Spirit to intervene. We can continue to show love and hope that our faith will be apparent from the way we live, as no amount of evidence will convince them.
So take me as you find me, all my fears and failures. Fill my life again. I give my life to follow everything I believe in. Now I surrender. Now I surrender. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. Shine your light and let the whole world see.
We're singing for the glory of the risen King.
Jesus, shine your light and let the whole world see. We're singing for the glory of the risen King. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. He rose and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave.